couple of times. We never had a response until the last minute when we had no choice than to terminate the contract of the boys with just cause and then file for claims at the Player Status Committee. And that is exactly what we did. So, yes, we were aware of this case. We were involved, deeply involved from beginning till the end. And I will commend the Player Status Committee for a good job done. Like I said earlier on, we need to be enforcing our rules and regulations. It doesn't matter which club or which player is involved. It has to cut across board. There shouldn't be any favoritism. The rules and regulations are there to protect the sport. It has to be done. It has to be done and done properly. So, yes, the PFAG was aware and we were deeply involved. Lack of education accounts for players signing bad contracts, and some of them don't even know what kind of document they sign. But we always advise them, when you know you lack education, you cannot read and write, you always find someone, a lawyer or an agent who can read and write to help you sign your contracts. But luckily, the union is there. We have our legal department. So if any player calls upon us that he needs help with his contract, we are always there to help those players. So that is it. They shouldn't hesitate to call on the PFAG whenever they have issues, contractual issues, or anything. We are there to serve the rights and interests of players. So that is it. For me, I think it's lack of education. Sometimes the boys are also in a rush, so they don't have that patience to read through the contracts that they sign. Some do read through, but they don't actually understand. These are all issues that end up in contractual disputes. We've taken a lot of measures through education. We actually do club visitation where we visit the clubs at their training grounds and then educate them on their rights, what they have to do, what is expected of them, how to take care of themselves as a football player, what to eat and what not to eat, the importance of rest, how to develop your talent, how to grow to be the best athlete that you want to be, how to invest with your income, and then how to prepare for your life after football. So we've been educating the players across all these topics that I've mentioned, even during the COVID, where we were not able to visit the clubs at their training grounds because football was on hold. We tried to get in touch on virtual platforms, sometimes on WhatsApp, sometimes on Zoom, and then have this kind of discussion, have this kind of interactions and education to guide and protect them. So we thank God that we're getting somewhere. At least about 70% of Ghanaian athletes, footballers, I have to say, are aware of the PFAG. And whenever they have issues, they actually call on us to see. Some club administrators are also very cooperative. They are very cooperative when we get in touch with them. We don't actually take issues straight to the FA when they come to us. We are mediators, as I said, so we try as much as possible to resolve the issue amicably between the parties involved. And then if we are not able, or we don't get the maximum support or the cooperation, then we turn to the FA as our last resort. So there are a lot of cases that we've solved at that level without even going to the FA or the status committee.
So that was Yusuf Chipsa speaking there. in a conversation with me, earlier, and like I said, he's a man who has been championing player warfare in this country. Now, we talked about those four Asante Kotoko players, Kelvin Ando, Stephen Ayiku, and Evans Owusu, as well as Abbas Mohammed. They all petitioned the Player Status Committee on the club's unilateral termination of their contract. They therefore sought for the Player Status Committee to rule on the payment of the outstanding salaries and signing on fees. Now, with the players demanding payment of the outstanding salaries and signing on fees, the Player Status Committee has ordered Kotoko to pay a combined compensation of 197,800, which is some 27,973 euros within 14 days, in addition to a transfer ban. Failure to meet the 14-day deadline for the payment of the compensation to the quartet and a 10,000 Ghana cedi fine to the GFA will result in the cases being referred to the GFA disciplinary committee for further sanctions, which may include point deductions in the Ghana Premier League. After 10 rounds of matches, Kotoko are fifth on the league table with 16 points to their name so far. So I've been joined in the studio by Felix Romack. And Felix, thank you very much for joining me, first of all. Happy New Year. Today is what, the 30th, eh?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm now seeing you in the year 2021. So, Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns.
Yeah, glad to see you.
Charlie, good to see you too.
I'm sure you've been following this particular conversation on player warfare. It's interesting because last week we talked about the exodus of players. And of course, the underlying theme is that the players simply want more. They want to be comfortable. They want to be able to take care of their families. They want to, they have national team ambitions and stuff like that. And then, we get the story where players of no meaner club than Asante Kotoko have taken the club to the Player Status Committee for unlawful abrogation of their contracts and non-payment of compensations and their salaries and sign-on fees and stuff like that. We are running a professional league. I listened to Yusuf Chipsa and he said that, look, in the past, clubs were actually respecting contracts. And that the reverse is what is happening these days. I was a bit surprised by that assertion because I've always thought that it is something that has existed in Ghana football. It is something that has always been there and that it's not a new phenomenon. Are you surprised to hear that indeed we are coming from a place where we're doing the right thing and find ourselves in a place where we are now doing the wrong thing?
Well, I'm a bit surprised, surprised in the sense that if you look at the modern era and the modern trend, we should even be improving with the welfare of our players. But another question you ask yourself is, how good are the representation of the players themselves? Because what we know, or the right thing is, a player should have an agent, a player should have a manager, or a player should belong to a management firm. So in instances, if you even want to sign on a player, you don't even come in contact with the player. There is an agent, or let's say a mediator, Chipsa being himself one. You contact the mediator or the agent that I want to sign hands for Accra Hearts of Oak. And then, okay, you just talk to the management. Then the management will come, Hans, Hearts of Oak want to sign you. Do you want to go? Yes, you can talk to them, agree on terms and all that. So you might not even come into contact with the player, and then everything is well documented. So I find it surprising that at this era where we feel that everything should be modern, those times when my grandfather would say, those times when we were doing a chalk and slate league, it looks to be more even professional. If you quite remember Hearts of Oak, Chastela transfer issues and all that, there was a ruling. And we all understand that these are the things that should govern or go against a club who fails to agree on some of the things that you've signed in the contract with a player. And you see, I've always been saying that it is high time that players themselves know that they need good representation. They need good management. They need good agents to negotiate.
But you see, Felix, this comes at a cost. If you are going to sign on to an agency, you are going to have to pay that agency or that agent as well. We look at player earnings in this country and you wonder how they were able to engage the services of an agent.
Hans, you see, when you have that thinking, I don't think the game will grow. See, there is no league without footballers. They are the main architect. If all the players in this country under the PFAG decide, I know what, no player in this country is taking the minimum of, let's say, $2,000 a month. And they've decided we are not going to play for any of the clubs. Or this is the minimum that a player should be earning. And the players have an association and they are going strictly by that, then it means that no club will even get a player to play for him. So then you ask yourself, how united is the players themselves? Because if together they are united, these are some of the things that won't be going against them. And I am very, very disappointed that a very professional club like Kumasi Asante Kotoko would find himself in such a situation, and that is what saddens me. And I believe that the FA, for me, this is not the first. I've had close encounter with players. I've had close interaction with players who have been treated badly by Kumasi Asante Kotoko in terms of contract issues. How can a player be playing for you and all of a sudden you even cancel the player's contract without engaging the player? The player knows, I'm not playing. And I don't know the reason why. They allow the player to be there. You don't communicate with the player. It is even important to let the player know 6 months to the end of his deal if I am renewing.
Absolutely.
Or you are not renewing, then what do? You start talking to other clubs as well. But then you don't just come out and say, you know what, I'm cancelling your deal. I don't want to engage you again. And this happens when you keep changing management. When every coach comes and you sign a lot of players. See, the main reason why Kumasi Asante Kotoko is trying to get rid of these players is they have a lot of players they don't need and they are paying salaries for. And they feel that the best way is for us to get rid of them. But there are professional ways that you can, get a player off your books or get a player out of your squad. You negotiate with the player. I know I'm supposed to pay you 10,000 cedis a month, or I have an outstanding 50,000 as signing on fee left. Can we restructure the terms of payment? For every 3 months, I can give you, let's say, 15,000 of the amount that I owe you. And this is something that we need to. Sometimes it is not always about going to the court or going to the disciplinary committee to address issues. You sit down with the players, and then they will also understand that, see, times are hard. We have been in this country where for over 2.5 years we haven't played a competitive league, or we haven't even had a league running. So definitely clubs will suffer.
The communication bit.
It is very, very important. And I believe that the clubs, I feel that the main problem is players don't have good representation in terms of whoever talks to them, whoever manages them. And I believe that clubs too financially have huge challenges. But then, as you just said, communication is very, very important.
Well, Kotoko have communicated in respect of the ruling by the Player Status Committee, and they've confirmed their readiness to appeal that judgment from the Player Status Committee against the club in the case involving their 4 players. They issued a statement. They said on Monday, January 25, 2021, a communique from the Ghana Football Association announced that the Kumasi-based club is being ordered to pay 198,000 Ghana cedis to ex-players Abbas Mohamed Matthew, Kelvin Ando, and Stephen Teteaiku, as well as Evans Owusu. The judgment, which will see Kotoko being handed a transfer ban. Okay, so in a letter from the club to the GFA, they say they want to appeal the case and hence are asking the Football Association to provide a regulation that will make that possible. Now, they state that, as we earlier indicated, we do not agree to the decisions of the Player Status Committee of the Ghana Football Association, and have resolved to file an appeal. We, however, note quite unfortunate that there are no procedural rules concerning a roadmap for the filing of an appeal and a clear law to invoke the jurisdiction of the GFA Appeals Committee, part of Kotoko's letter signed by the administrative manager Emmanuel Newton Dasoberi read. So essentially, they are going to be appealing, and as is within their right, by the way. But it does paint a certain picture. I mean, Kotoko is a colossus when it comes to Ghana football. And if they have these issues, you do wonder what could be happening at the smaller clubs, don't you?
Yes, of course, of course. And but trust me, I think that with the smaller clubs, they actually do the right thing because you know what, I can't sign you for a very long time. I can't have you sign a deal. I can't sign a deal with you for 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and then I can't pay you as much as the top clubs are paying. Because Hans, honestly, how many times do you hear the smaller clubs, having such problems? You don't hear from them because
Or maybe because the players don't say. Because I have a story of a club in the Western region, okay, a prominent club in the Western region, who signed a player for 3 years, and I was talking about it, just before you came in. 3,000 Ghana cedis a season. 3,000 cedis. 3,000 cedis a season. 3-year contract, that sums up to 9,000 cedis. After the 3 years, they didn't pay a dime to the boy. He went on to sign a further 2 years, hoping that he was going to get some of the money that was outstanding. After the 2 years, they've still not paid a dime to him. He's left the club. So maybe the players don't talk about it. Look, in preparing for this show, this conversation, I spoke to a number of players. Off record, they are telling you a lot of things. You tell them, can we have an interview? We are not going to mention your name. We are not going to mention the name of the club. And they begin to back off. So isn't it the case that maybe these players are afraid to come out and speak?
Why should you be afraid to come out and talk about your contract issues when, the clubs have behaved unprofessionally? And I think that, you see, some of this silence is also killing, the opportunities for other players to come out and speak their mind. And I believe that, Hans, when I sign a contract with you, there is an opportunity, or there is a clause that says, it should be secret. Mm-hmm. But I believe that it will be very good. Why would I sign a deal with you, or why would I renew a contract when my initial first contract fee, you haven't paid me? You promised me 3,000 cedis a season. I've played 3 years. You've never paid a signing on fee. And then why do I go on and renew for another 2 years? So if a player has good representation, I believe that, before I sign the extra 2 years, and before you even renew a contract of the player, you know very well that this player can help my team. So if I'm working for you and you are not paying me, and you see, now FIFA has even made it very simple for the players. If you are at a football club and 6 months you are not being paid salary, you can leave the club. You can leave the club and then you move on. And I believe that most of the players themselves, they don't even know some of these rules. They don't even have the legal idea about some of the things that they go in.
Absolutely.
It will even surprise you that some of the players themselves don't even read the contract they sign. Hence, some of the players don't read the contract they sign. Oh, Brabebo, Afibia, Nambusumbia, 1,000 cedis. No signing on fee. You get this, and I believe that the FA should help these players. The FA should also advise the players. The PFAG needs to communicate to the players and tell them, when you are signing a contract, make sure you read what you are signing. When you are signing a contract, make sure that you have an agent or you have a manager who is there with you. And you see, Hans, some of these things too, the players need to take the blame. Some players are very greedy.
How so?
Yes, some players are very greedy because you could have a player that, by verbal communication, somebody is managing you. Somebody, is trying to find a club for you. And then when there is a deal, you pass behind that particular person and you go and sign the deal because you don't want to at least give your agent a small cut of whatever you are receiving.
Because the money is meager.
That is the problem. Hans, you see, if you continue talking that way, somebody might say, this is the little that I have. Hans, let me tell you something. I don't want to mention this player's name. Yeah. I've had a link for a player outside the country. He returned, I was at the stadium and he gave me some cash in an envelope. And I told him, it's not easy like that. This money is too much. He said, no, just keep it. And I was very, very surprised. You understand? Because I never had it in my mind that, the only thing most of these players do, they will come and give you their replica kits and all that. So even if the money is small and you are showing little appreciation to the person,
It's about the gesture.
that is the thing. And you can have full representation when there is an issue. If you sign a contract in secrecy, do you have a witness? Will somebody be there to defend you? So I believe that the players too should stop being greedy, get a representation, even if it is 500 cedis that you'll be paid. Tell the person managing me that this is what they want to. You tell, okay, with your 500 cedis, I can't take much. Maybe I'll take, let's say, 50 cedis. Or if there is a subsequent signing ons, or maybe other clubs, or you moved, then I can take about 10% of your signing on fee. If they don't do that, the clubs will always cheat them out of contracts.
Interesting. And you heard from Felix remark there. Let's hit the phone lines and speak to Jerome Otre, and he's joining us via phone. Jerome, thank you very much for joining me. And of all the clubs that this should occur, you don't think that it has to be Kumasi Asante Kotoko. I mean, they have a massive fan base. It's a club that, for all intents and purposes, should have resources. Why is this happening?
Well, as someone who has worked for Kotoko, or let me say, written for Kotoko for a number of years, this doesn't come to me as a surprise at all. And the reason I say it's not a surprise is because Kotoko buys players on impulse. I mean, if it is not Nanaya Amponsa who has not done it, in the last 10 years, you can pick 3, 4, 5 administrations of Kotoko which bought players or who bought players that the club did not need. And you see, once you buy more than necessary, once you buy players you don't need, from experience, I mean, from a close observation, I have seen that because the club buys players that it practically doesn't need, it gets to a point where paying these players becomes difficult. It gets to a point where fulfilling your part of the bargain, that is paying, for instance, their signing on fees, becomes a problem because, I mean, I don't want to pick on any player, but take a player like Aiku, for instance. How many matches did he play for Kotoko? I mean, I can count on my fingertips. So for a player like that, once you're not able to tell what his contribution to the club was, it becomes difficult in reality living by that obligation that, look, you signed him and you must pay him. Kotoko's problem has simply got to do with not having a clearly defined recruitment policy which tells you which players we should go in for, which players we shouldn't go for, how many of these players are really relevant to the cause of the club, how are we going to pay these players. That's why, for instance, I was happy when Nanaya came. He said, I'm going to stick to this number of players. It won't be more than 30 players. And once you have this in mind, you must have a plan how to pay them, how to honor any financial obligations to them. If clubs are not able to do this, then there's going to be what has happened. I have heard people say a whole lot. Look, if you have an agent who is smart like Chitsa, who I'm told is managing these players, you will always get clubs having to cough out that amount of money Kotoko is supposed to pay.
Now, Jerome, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned the bit about agents. I mean, in this country or within the Ghanaian football setup, within the local football setup, do agents really have a place? Because my understanding is that certain clubs are not even receptive to players having agents. Again, if you look at the percentage that players are supposed to pay these agents vis-a-vis the Ghanaian football economy, vis-a-vis how much these players are even earning, is there a place for player agents within the Ghanaian football structure?
From what I've observed on the local scene, I will tell you that there is a strong place for them, except that there are some bad nuts out there, and the players themselves too do not have the very good ones. I mean, majority of our players, from what I have seen, do not have very good agents who really represent them during the contract discussions, such that if there is anything that will even go against them, they will even know. And look, there have been clubs in this country who, even at this level, do not have written contracts with players. And I'll give you this example. I always cite it. 2014, I had the opportunity of being part of the player online registration, where contract documents were, for instance, uploaded onto a system. And I'm telling you this, a Premier League club didn't have contracts with players. Some of the contracts had to be written and uploaded within a very short time, because then it was a more or less like a prerequisite. If you don't have it, you can't go through the system. And I'm saying that if this is the situation at the Premier level, then you understand what the problem is. All we need to do, or all our players need to do, is to get proper representation, such that if you are moving from club A to club B, your representative should be able to tell you what is there to gain, why you must move to this club, why you shouldn't go to this club, why you must take this amount of money, why you shouldn't take this amount of money. If that is not there, then that player should know that he'll be taken for granted. And it's very unfortunate. What I have seen with these 4 or so players who have, taking Kotoko to the Players Status Committee, what I've seen with their situation is that it is because they have an agent who is lettered, who understands what goes into these things, because these are not the first group of players to have been taken for granted by the club. I can give you names of some players who personally told some of us that, look, if we think we're going to drag this, we don't even have the energy to do it. We don't even have the money to. They don't even know where to go to get these issues resolved. So, bottom line, players must have agents who understand the business of representing players when it comes to negotiating or drafting their contracts. And there have been those who are blaming Chipsa for having too many players within the Kotoko setup. Look, they should blame those who allowed him to have that hold on that number of players, and not him.
Let me in respect of this particular case, I think the players were represented by the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana. They were advised, not Chipsa as a person, but the player welfare body.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But there are some people saying that he also represents some of the players. I'm saying that whether it was the PFAG umbrella which led the players to the Players Status Committee, or it is Chipsa, as a player agent representing the players, the key point is that good representation for players at these, at contract levels where they are discussing their contract issues is very important. And maybe you should take it upon itself to look deep into how welfare issues are like at the various clubs. Not necessarily to fish out negatives and hold the necks of clubs, but to play more like an advisory role, so that our players will understand what it means to sign contracts. Because I have said that if you are playing for a club and the club is not paying you, it is as good as sitting at home. Because at the end of the day, you are not going to get anything. But a lot of our players don't know this. It will be like, let me just play. Maybe one day my star will shine and I'll go out of the country.
And Jerome, I come back to the question. Last week we were here talking about how much players are earning in this country, and as a consequence, the drain or the exodus of players from the Ghanaian top flight. If you look at how much players are earning, can they pay agents? Can Ghanaian Premier League players, Division 1 players, Division 2 players, can they pay representatives? Can they pay legal persons to represent them in some of these matters?
From the little I have seen, I don't think the best of agents on our local scene will even be interested at the first instance. They'll be interested in taking money from the players. From the little I have seen, I'm not saying that they will do pro bono jobs. I'm saying that some of these agents, the very good ones, are more interested in getting results for the players, such that if the player is represented well, it gets to a point where professionalism comes in. The player himself sees that, look, this is a good job. And then you can begin to talk about, whether they can pay these agents well. If they will leave it to what we have been used to, the agent or the person representing you buys boots or food or something else for you, and then he becomes your agent. You should trust that to get to a point where he will take you for granted. But if you are using those who know what it is to represent players, you will know that at the end of the day, you get something out of your contract. It is high time our footballers gave a thought to not just their training abilities or the fact that they can play, but also their contracts. I have seen contracts written in a very haphazard manner, and sometimes you wonder whether the players themselves read what goes on. Look, there have been situations where contracts written over 3 or 4 years, names are changed, number of years are changed, and the whole document is lifted, names are put in there, and that's the end of it. There was a situation at the club that I was privy to. The player didn't even know that there are things like entertainment facilities that the club should have given him. He didn't know. But this was in the contract. So I'm saying that we've reached a point where players pay attention to that aspect of their work. Because for me, I think that is what even holds together their talents. Because if you can play so well, but you have bad agents, agents who are exploitative, who will not let you see what is even in your document, then your talent is nothing. Because after all, you're not going to get money for it. You only play, have fun, and at the end of the day, retire with nothing.
I'm grateful that you joined me, Jerome Otre, as editor, Kodoko Express, speaking to us here on the Joy Sports Link. And, it's interesting. Yesterday, I interacted with the one I said played for a club in the Western region. I told him, look, you are a professional footballer. A professional footballer means that this is the job that you do full-time. You're not a semi-professional. You're a professional player. And if you look at the career span of professional footballers these days, you are 22, 23. You've got at most 10 years. If you don't make money out of your talent and time in the next 10 years, you are going to retire pauper. Bear in mind, you are not learning any skill because of the workload of being a professional footballer. So you retire, you have no job, you have no money, you are going to end up frustrated. This is a very serious conversation. And Felix, I'll come back to you, but I've just received an interesting text here from a colleague journalist, Sadiq Adams, of Angel, right? Yes, Angel FM. Yeah. And he says that, Hans, interesting discussion. Most administrators in this country do not respect both players and coaches because of the seeming abundance. And most of these players and managers would jump on any deal because of desperation. Take David Duncan and Hartlepool as an example. And like Felix said, there is no unity or a body to fight this. Kudos to Yusuf Chipsa and the PFAG. But tell Felix, there are worse instances in the smaller clubs. Horrible treatment and stories there. But then, if it involves Kodoko or Hearts, players are assured of media attention and coverage.
Okay. Who
Who cares about a player fighting his arbitrary termination at Kintampo Warriors or Call United? So, it just cuts across. And truly, I have a personal, story. I played for a third division club.
Which position?
Let's not go there. I knew the state of the club. I wasn't expecting that I was going to get paid. And I didn't ask for it, But then I moved from where the club was based because of school to Medina. And got a second division club that was interested in me. Now, over the period I had been there, I took no salary. I took nothing in terms of money from them. I used my own money as transportation in and out from training and stuff like that. I find a Division 2 club. We go to the third division club and they tell me, they can only allow me to go on loan, and that they are going to take a certain amount of money at the time to allow me to join the club on loan. And I was sitting there shocked, because here's a club that hasn't paid me a dime, but wanted to take money for me to join a club on loan.
Developmental fees.
So I mean, it's serious. Down there at the lower division, it's serious. And we had a boy who plays in the lower division. Eventually, he got injured and had to cater for himself. How critical or how important is it that we deal with this canker? And I call it canker because, look, it cuts across. It's something that we see every day within the context of developing the local game.
Hans, as I've earlier said, I think that the PFAG is really doing very, very good for the players, and I think that they should start from there, engage the players, put in the right structures for the players. And if you are a player and you don't even have a representation, or you don't have a manager or an agent, I think that if you are going solo to even engage a club, there is a football association, the Professional Football Association, that have the players' interest at heart. So you can go to the secretariat and you say, you know what, Bichim United wants to sign me, and I want you people to have a look at the contract that they are offering me, advise me, and even if possible, communicate with me the terms that are in the contract. I can tell you about 70% of the Ghanaian footballers can't even speak good English. How much more read a legal document like a contract between two entities? So it is very, very important that players who are listening, or players who intend to renew their contract but don't have representation, they should contact the PFAG to assist them in doing so. And I believe that, maybe if their agency and management also around, they can also come to these players, the aid of these players. Because how much do you even get as a signing on fee? Most of the clubs we have in this country, they don't pay signing on fee. They are not paying, even with salary. They are paying little salary, and all they tell you is, go and win games, and then we pay you winning bonus. And it will even surprise you that sometimes when these players go on and win the games, officials of the club will tell you, I did my own ways and means. That is the reason why you guys were able to win the game. So when they are winning matches, they don't even get winning bonuses. They are not being paid salaries and all that. So I feel that what the players need to do is to make sure that they read the contract. And I said it, and earlier I even raised that point that some of the players don't even read the contract at all.
Because even if they read it, they can't comprehend what is in there. They can't fully understand what is in there.
But it is very, very important, because you should know what you are going into. You should know what you are. There might be other entitlements there. There might be other insurance packages there. So if you don't read what you are signing up for, you might be signing your death warrant. It is very, very important. You might think that and they should learn from Neil Date Lamptey.
Yeah.
I quite remember he said he went to Argentina. When he played in Argentina, he never knew there was something like a signing on fee. So all the people that were with him as agents and managers were taking the money without his knowledge, because all he wanted to do was to go out there and play football. And most of the players, that is their passion.
Yeah.
But when your passion becomes your job, there are little things you need to look out for. And it is important. Something like a player contract is very, very, very important. And clubs should also stop cheating the players. The players in our local league, if you have a very good structure or a very good contract with a player, and there is a deal outside, who gets the benefit? Yeah. The clubs get most of the money involved in the transfer fees. All the player gets is a little percentage, and then what they get are salary and bonuses. But when there is transfer fee involved, I don't even remember the last time a Ghanaian Premier League club even sold a player for over $500,000.
We talked about it last week.
It is very, very bad.
I don't remember the last $1 million contract straight from Ghana, from the Ghanaian top.
It has to be, they go to the Scandinavian countries or somewhere in Europe, and then there's a third transfer. That is when they get to, benefits. And it is very, very bad. It is very, 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 very,
volumes
very.
about the standard of the league and the quality that we are churning up. But that's another conversation for another day. I'll be getting into your messages pretty shortly. And I've got one here that says, Hans, we can't kid ourselves. Many clubs want to reap where they've not sown. We shall remain where we are with this attitude. No wonder very good players leave the country for coins. Fire burn them all. Okay, yeah, fire doesn't burn. Right. We move on from this conversation, but I mean, it's very, very at the heart of all of this is the need to do the right thing. We say we run a professional league. Let the professional standards speak. I think that in terms of standards, having a contract and respecting it is basic. Like it's just basic. There is also the need for players to understand what they are putting pen to paper. You know, they need to understand what is
or
in there.
thumb printing.
And some of them, they thumb print.
They can sign. Some players can sign. They thumb print.
Still binding though.
Oh yeah, of course.
Interested, but let's just do the right thing. It's all geared towards seeing the local game get to a certain level. We all yearn to see the Ghana Premier League on a certain level. Very often these conversations are misconstrued to mean that we are just laying bare the negatives of the local game, but it's important to talk about it so that we improve upon it. We all want a professional league that we'll be proud of. You know, we see the South African Premier League and what it's become. We've seen the Tunisian league, we see the Egyptian league. Down here in Nigeria, we've seen what they are doing. They're paying good salary. Players are leaving to Nigeria to go play, and some of them come back and they're able to build houses.
Tanzania, Ethiopia.
You know,
why would a Ghanaian footballer leave Ghana and say I'm going to play in Tanzania? Because they are doing things better, because they have the right structures and all that.
Right. The issues about the contracts rage on, but we need to look forward. And looking forward, we are looking forward to what will be happening tonight. What do you call it? Is it a Manchester Derby? That's a Manchester Derby, eh? Right. Take a listen to this one as we gear up to a very important conversation. Accra Hearts of Folk up against Accra Great Olympics.
Olympics up by 2-0. That's a good one. Brilliant goal from Samuel Abeasi. Magnificent strike.
Obi Jr. is the man who has put them in front. This is a sucker punch. Accra Hearts of Oak lead by 1-0.
Klasina Waku! Sweet. And it's a glorious moment for Klasina Waku.
Samala turned around. Oh, lovely touch there again by Patrick Razak. Razak on the edge of it. It's a beautiful cross, Patrick Razak. And Accra Hearts of Oak. Beautiful cross down the right-hand side. And he clipped that very, very well. Obi Jr. with a brace. Pulled the chestnut from the blazing fire here at the Crossbow Stadium. It's 2-2.
What I have to say to Olympics is they should know that we are their parents. We are in the world before they came. We are their leaders.
So original landowners, Amaja marketers, Swalaba. What Gamashi?
If anyone is about Ghana, she won't know what they
They are the old guys, the old men of Ghana football. Yeah, we do agree. But we are the traditional owners of Accra.
They are saying that they are Agoswe. We say never say that. You can go to the cemetery. You will find the bones who are rotting. You will see the bones are still alive.
Oli Dade, Oli Pioto, Oli Rosalinda, Oli Bakadasala.
Be quiet and cheer us up. We are the famous House of Folk. We never say die. Phobia one back. We're not Jibo. Anyewo.
Big game. Accra Sports Stadium is the venue, and I've still got Felix Rumark here with me. You're listening to the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Hans Mensando. Felix.
Big one. Big one.
I'm looking for a word that is beyond big, you know. Gargantuan, you know.
Gargantuan, yes.
And match week 11, huh?
Yeah.
Ghana Premier League, and we've had a lot of conversations about how the league has gone. What's your take on how things have gone so far? The other day we did the calculations and it was just about 9 points separating first from last. In other words, you get a run of 3 matches, 3 wins, and you could find yourself top of the league. You get a poor run of 3 losses and you could find yourself in the relegation zone. Very, very tight it's been.
Yes, it's been an exciting league. I never expected it to be that open. I never expected it to be very, very competitive. And clearly, from the 10 games we've seen so far, and then even with Bichim United playing yesterday, that was the 11th game. It tells you how good the league has been. And if you look at Bichim United, they are top of the league now. This is about the 3rd time they've gone top of the league. We've had a league where the leaders, keep the position of the league leaders keep changing. We've had Karela at one point being league leaders. We've even had Great Olympus being league leaders at one stage of the season, and that tells you how good the league has been. And I believe that whoever gets to win the league, it will be tough for that person, especially with the way it's turning up to be. I've been saying that if we manage things well, the Ghana League will always be this exciting. And clearly we are saying that. I've been impressed with some of the games that I have watched and some of the players too as well. I must say that one of the nicest game I watched was the Kotoko and Ediana game. I think that it should be my best game after the 10 match weeks. And you look at the Wafa Midiema game as well, and I think that one was also a very beautiful game. That 7-goal trailer at the Sugakope Park. Talking about players, I think that if you look at Ibrahim Salifu of Techiman 11 Wonders, he's won 5 Man of the Match awards in 11 games, and he's an excellent player. I think that with him, Gladson Awako is one reason why this derby will be special. It's been one of the reason why Great Olympus are where they are on the league log. I must say that it's been exciting. It's been exciting so far. If you are not watching the Ghana Premier League, you are missing out a lot. And match week 11, we have almost about 4 derby games. The Western Derby, Karela and Midiema at the Camp Park in Enyinase. There is Ash Gold and Kotoko at the Lenklen Stadium in Obuasi. And then we have the Accra New Babies, Legon City and Interallies tomorrow at the Accra Sports Stadium. And then the big one this evening, which is Accra Arts of Folk, and then Accra Great Olympus.
6 p.m. Is a kickoff time at the Accra Sports Stadium. The stadium capacity allowed is 25%. The Accra Sports Stadium is a 40,000 capacity. My mathematics is a bit hazy, but we are looking at what? Somewhere 10,000. Yeah, just around 10,000. And so, if you want to go catch a glimpse of it, better go early, because once we get a 25%, best believe you listen to commentary here on Joy 99.7 FM somewhere outside the stadium.
And I'm just hoping that whoever plan to go to the stadium will also observe the protocols.
Yes, very important.
It is very, very important
very important.
we do that, because see, Hans, for 2.5 years we have not had a full league running. From the NAS expose, from the truncated league that last season. And it was even because of the COVID that we truncated last season's league.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't give the politicians any reason
yeah,
to tell us that, you can't play your league again. We've had 10 weeks of exciting football. We want to see that excitement, continue. We want to see the end of it. We want to see who gets to win the league at the end of the season. Hopefully, I'm praying that it should be my club, Accra Arts of Folk. So whoever gets to the stadium, and not just the Accra Sports Stadium, anywhere around any league center that you want to go and watch any of the week 11 games, please make sure that you observe the protocols as well.
Absolutely important. The numbers going up in the country, and let's all be responsible. When you go to the stadium, you keep your mask on and get a hand sanitizer as well. If there's somebody sitting close to you not wearing the mask, tell the person to put the mask on. And it's a huge stadium. You don't need to be sitting in a crowd. At least there has to be a seat between you and the next person. Very, very important. And so let's also observe all of that. I'm joined by Orueku Nyamiche Ampof. I'm the only person who probably mentions his full name like that. And he's the man who has the numbers when it comes to the Joy Sports team. Oreku, what are we looking at in terms of the numbers for Hearts versus Great Olympics?
Well, I think there's a lot of history between these two sides, but for a strange reason, it's always funny how there's so much noise from both camps for this fixture, but it's so biased towards Hearts in terms of dominance. And it makes you wonder, is it really that close of a derby considering how much noise Olympics make? I mean, if you look at the last meetings between the two sides, let's take the 21st century. Ever since Olympics beat Hearts of Oak in 2000, they haven't managed to beat the Phobians again. And you look at, the wins that Hearts have amassed, 11 wins, and then there have been 7 draws. And Olympics haven't won since then, so they just have that one win. But I think it's more of,
You're saying that just one win for Great Olympics. Since when?
2000 in the league.
That's 11 years? No.
21.
That's 21 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
A really long time ago. And the fixture has been really dominated by Hearts of Oak. And even if you look at last season's meeting where they beat them by 4 goals, it looked as if Olympics forgot how to play football. And that's how important history is when it comes to derbies as such. There's that psychological advantage that Olympics have to overcome if they want to certainly end this winless run. And it's going to take a lot. It's really going to take a lot to be able to beat Hearts of Oak. But then you look at this season, for instance, and both teams. Now, for Hearts of Oak, since Papic took over, he's had 3 home games, and he's won all 3, scoring 11 and conceding just 1. So Hearts of Oak have had absolutely no problems playing at home under Papic. There's been a few glitches during some away games, but even if you look at the league table since Papic took over, no side has taken more points than Accra Hearts of Oak. So they certainly found their mojo back, and it's going to be extremely difficult to be able to topple them this time at their favorite stadium where they love to play. But Olympics also do have some confidence. They currently sit second on the away table for the Ghana Premier League table. They have 7 points from 5 away matches, and that's the second most in the Ghana Premier League so far this season. So they do know how to play away. Remember, they got that away draw against Mediama, very important. They really set their season off. So they know how to play away. They do not win much, but they know how to be conservative and at least try and get something from that. But then they also do have a record that favors them heading into this game. Interestingly, we have about 5-6 clubs sharing the Accra Sports Stadium.
Yep.
And if you look at this season, for Olympics, they faced 3 sides that they share the Accra Sports Stadium with. They beat Asante Kotoko by 1-0. They beat Legon Cities by 3-0. And then they beat Interallies by 2-0. And guess what? They are meeting Hearts of Oak, who they share the Accra Sports Stadium with. So are we going to see that record continue? They seem to know the Accra Sports Stadium better than whoever they are sharing it with. So it will be interesting to see how things pan out between these two sides. But it's going to be a very, very interesting encounter. I think this is the best time for Olympics to face Hearts.
Most definitely.
If they are ever going to be Hearts of Oak in the league in the 21st century.
Now.
It has to be now.
Right. Thank you very much, Oreku. And before you go, I'll take your prediction for that game. How would you call this one?
I think it will be closer than what we saw last year. It certainly wouldn't be that one-sided. The Olympics might give a push, but hey, Hearts of Oak are getting Lawali back. Manaf is coming back. It's a full side, and they're extremely motivated, knowing that a win will take them to the top of the table. So I think Hearts will still prove to be too strong. Olympics might be close, so maybe 3-1. 3-1, yeah, I think 3-1 should do.
3-1 in favor of Accra Hearts of Oak.
Yeah.
I wonder what Langabell thinks about Oreku's prediction. He has been going on and on about the anthem of Accra Great Olympics. Let's take a listen, and then I'll return to Felix Remark for us to properly get into the game and find out the chances of the two sides.
We are Great Olympics team. We are surely story. Great to breathe is with the return. Oh, great Olympics team. We go Olympics. We shall be ready. Oh, on goes the opponent. Go and go on go. Olympics. Only that day. Thank you, my man. only one. This is
I tell you what, I've never heard this one, but it sounds really good.
Sung by Langabell.
Really interesting, and Langabell, of course, he's a huge Great Olympics fan. We'll be hearing from the two coaches, Yao Preku, who has stepped in for Coach Anna Walker. On an interim basis, we'll also be hearing from Costa Papic ahead of tonight's game. But of course, we are still picking your thoughts. Still picking your thoughts on WhatsApp. We're still picking your thoughts on WhatsApp 055-11-11997. That's 055-11-11997. I'll be getting through some of your messages, a lot of them centering on the player welfare issue that we discussed, the player contract issue that we discussed. But Felix, let's take a look at where the teams have, or how they've performed so far this season. Hearts quite inconsistent until Costa Papic came in. When they win big. When they lose, it's an abysmal performance. Papic hasn't really been impressed, even when they've won. You know, he set a very high standard for them. Olympics under Anna Walker had their mojo. You know, Glasson Awako is performing, but he's no longer in charge. Yao Preku was coming and seemed to continue where Anna Walker, left off. Tactically, what sort of game are we to expect?
Well, I think just as this will probably be a very competitive game, much tighter than the previous ones that we've witnessed between these two traditional clubs. And I've always been saying that if you look at Great Olympics this season, they are playing like the team they had when they first won the league in 1970. And at that time, a lot of people feel to give a lot of good credit to Great Olympics in 70 when they won the league, because at that time we had 50 teams. 50 teams were grouped into zones, and Great Olympics won the league by just a point. And Hearts of Oak were second. They only had 23 points, and then Hearts had 22 points. After the 50 teams, they were grouped into 15 teams, and then that only managed to win in 70 by just a point. And then in 74, when Great Olympics won their second and their last league title, it was against Hearts of Oak then. And this time around, they managed to win the league with just 2 points. And Hearts of Oak finished second with 36 points and only had 38 points in 74. So the rivalry back then when Oli had tried to win the league has always been, Hearts of Oak giving them that tough time. And I believe that this time around, they have a team that is close to what they had in the 70s. But then you ask yourself, what has worked for Great Olympics? I think that the experience of Glasson Awako, we can't take that away from the Daddy boys. I believe that he has brought a lot of experience into the team. Another thing that Great Olympics did is, before the truncated season, most of the players that they had were still there. They didn't have money to buy players that, like most of the top teams did during the transfer window. And then they brought in players with Premier League experience. If you see somebody like Michael Otuo, the chap in the number 8 shirt for them, who played for Great Inter Allies, they got him to Great Olympics. They brought in Said Salifu also from Inter Allies, and then you blend that with the experience that they have, and I think that has worked for them. They've kept a lot of the boys that they had, and these are boys who are hungry for success. They are not well known, household names in the Ghana Premier League, so they just want to come out there. There's no pressure on them to come and perform. So I expect a very tight game. If you look at Great Olympics, they've been very, very good. They are very, very disciplined with the way they play. I think that of the 10 games that they've played, one of the games, the game against Liberty Professional, where they lost by 2-0, that has been their worst game with the games that I've watched. And Hearts of Oak should prepare for a big test. it won't be as easy like as they got last season. It won't be as easy as they've gotten in the past 20 years, where Great Olympics have just won a game. That was in 2000 when 2000 when they won by 2-1 in the ABC Premier League. That was match week 19 when Olympics won that particular game. So I expect a very tight game, very compact. Glasson Awaku will try, and do his magic. But you ask yourself, what team is Hearts of Oak coming up with? What will be on the mind of Papic? There's a good opportunity for Hearts of Oak to go top of the league. The last time Hearts won the league, it was with Papic, and it's been 11 years. It's been over a decade since Hearts won the league. And
2009, 2010?
Yes. So it's been more than 10 years, I must say. And you have a coach who won it with you. The players themselves will be motivated to know that this is the coach that last won Hearts of Oak the league. We are just some few points away from getting into the top spot. A win today will take us to the top spot. So that is a huge motivation. And another motivating factor you can talk about is players returning. Manaf is returning from suspension. Emmanuel Nete is back training and all that. So for the first time in as many games, Hearts of Oak has a very fully fit squad for Papic to choose from. And you look at the Papic magic, that has also worked well for Hearts of Oak, because most of the players, when Edward Odum left, Papic came in and he said, you know what, we are all starting afresh. Try and impress me. Nobody would have thought that a player like Willie Denchi will even have a part to play with Hearts of Oak, because if you look at what Larry Suleiman is doing on the left side of defense, there is Fatal Mohamed as well, which is the captain, and then there is Rodi Ovoka as well. So it would have been difficult for a player like Willie Denchi to get into that Hearts squad. But then Papic said, you know what, your offensive style makes you a good player playing from the midfield, but not in defense. So you are no more going to be a defender. I'm going to change you into an attacking midfielder, and that is exactly what he's doing. Manaf look like a different player altogether under Papic. And I wouldn't have thought that a player like Patrick Razak wouldn't even be getting the starting bet under Papic. Papic said, whoever gets to start, these are the best 11 players that I have. Look at Richard Atai, he's one of the finest goalkeepers we have in the country. Papic comes in and he says, Richmond Nayi, I like the way you deliver your balls. I like the way you start the attack. So you are coming to be my number one goalkeeper going forward. And it looks like Papic has changed everything about Hearts of Oak. They are scoring goals, they are creating chances. But we shouldn't also forget the fact that Edward Odum did a very good job, because this is the first time I'm seeing a fully, I don't know how to say, but you look at Hearts of Oak, they don't get tired in games. Mm-hmm. They look very strong. They look very fit. And credit must be given to Odum for a good pre-season, because sometimes when you look at the COVID situation, you look at times when teams were not allowed to come out and train prior to the start of the league. And for him to get the players to that kind of fitness level, I think that Odum deserves credit. It has made the work a bit easier for Papic, because you don't need to work on fitness. Already the foundation has been laid there for you to continue with that. So all he's doing now is tactics, and I believe that he will surely get it right this evening against their arch rivals.
Let's take a listen to Costa Papic, and then I'll come back to you for a bit more discussion on this particular game before okay, so let me do a bit of your messages now. This one says, Hans, you know why we are called Wonder Club of Ghana. You will see it Philly at 6 p.m. That came in from Mona. Well, Mona, we are waiting to see why you are dubbed the Wonder Club, as they call it. This one says, Hans, good show as always. With these four Kotoko players' issues, I'm not surprised. Nana Amponsa is taking the club backwards. He came to raise unnecessary expectations. Now listen to the news media. It's all negatives about the great Asante Kotoko. It serves us right. Next time we'll choose right. That came in from Godwin inside North Carnation. Good day, Giants. Okay, good day, Giants. I believe you are ignoring the elephant in the room, which I believe is money. Is the Ghana game financially sound? That's a question that Echo is posing. I believe we all know the answer to that question. Echo, financially, we have a huge problem when it comes to the local game. Hi, good afternoon, Hans. The solution is simple. regulation. The FA should make a law making it illegal for a player to deal with agents who are not licensed. Definitely, there will be rogue agents, but the players should be made aware. The players should be made aware of that. If they deal with them, they are on their own. Not always must an agent require money before they represent a player. There should be grades of football agents like we do in coaching license. Licensed amateur agents can earn their stripes with players in the lower division. Okay, that came in from Max. Send this one from Airport. Good input, Max. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Okay, right, so those are some of your messages that have come through in respect of the conversations that we've had. But you can keep them coming. I'd love to get your thoughts, your views, your comments, your predictions for Hearts of Oak versus Olympics. Also, Ash Gold versus Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And there is Karela versus Mediama Sporting Club also going on this weekend in the Ghana Premier League. 055 1111 997. 055 1111 997. We'll be activating the phone lines pretty shortly. But let's take a listen to the head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, Costa Papic, as they prepare to take on Accra Great Olympics.
Definitely we are getting there. Definitely we are coming on the way how we're supposed to be playing in the future. We are very close to that, like I said. But, there's always room for improvement, always room for playing better and better. That is meaning we are almost there. We are more or less have a squad which I believe is going to deliver for us. Unfortunately, in the last 3 matches, the injury stopped us to continuously playing the system what we want. But like I said, when that players recovered, they are plans of house training, they understand what we need. Something that is very fast and very easy, going to deliver exactly what we want.
As head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, Costa Papic, speaking there ahead of the 6 p.m. kickoff. And there's a hint of satisfaction, about that comment. He says they are getting there, they are getting to the levels that he wants to see the team play. Felix?
Yes, of course. And I think that clearly we've all seen the signs. We've seen what he wants. He's one coach that is very difficult to impress, and the players are aware of that. He looks out for the very details in games, and he really wants to stamp his authority on this Hearts of Oak team. When you see the team play, you know that this is Papic's team. And I think that we've seen the improvement, and I'm happy with what I have seen. Anybody who supports Hearts of Oak should be very hopeful. But I've always been saying that in times when things are going this way, Hearts of Oak have been their own enemies. They've been rumored that he doesn't even have a standard contract or whatever it is. They haven't really agreed on something. And, somebody can just press a button and then we wake up and say, Papic is gone. And we've had that before. And I just hope that there will be some arrangements where we can have this coach stay for a very long time, because I'm seeing a lot of positive in the way he has brought up this Hearts of Oak team, and they are playing to the Papic style that we know. The last time we won the league, we could see that identity in this particular team, and I just hope that the players would help him achieve whatever he wants to do with Accra Hearts of Oak. It's been long. We won the title. I'm saying we because I'm an Hearts of Oak fan, and I would love to see Papic do it again.
Right. Costa Papic, let's listen to his opposite number, Yao Prekun, who has stepped in for Coach Anna Walker, who we understand is not too well. And we wish him speedy recovery, hopefully. And I'm sure at the back of these players' minds, they want to do it for Coach Anna Walker, but it's one thing saying it and another thing doing it. Let's take a listen to Yao Prekun ahead of the game against Accra Hearts of Oak.
We know Hearts of Oak at the moment they are playing very well. They are playing really well. They have a good team. So, but it's going. Hearts of Oak Olympics is a different ball game altogether. We are hoping a good day, and then we'll see how it goes. And I want my boys to come to the party and perform very well and make me proud.
Former Ghana International, now interim coach of Great Olympics, Yao Prekun speaking there, and. He's done a good job since coming in as interim coach for Great Olympics. I mean, he's continued where Anna Walker left off, and one would have thought that results probably would have slumped a bit, but he's held his own, hasn't he?
Well, he has, and I think that sometimes when you even come in for to replace a new coach, and you realize that there are things that are working well. There's a system the players are used to. I know Walker did a great job with Great Olympus, and I just hope that wherever he is, I wish him speedy recovery from whatever he's suffering from. If you look at how well they've played, I don't think that Yapreku will come in and change a lot about the team. He has maintained the system. Basically, has started with almost the same lineup that Walker used to, and I believe that he wants to keep that consistency. He wants to maintain that rhythm going forward, because they've been successful in the 10 games that they've played so far this season. So why do you want to change it? And I believe that clearly he doesn't want to do that. He wants to make sure that they keep the consistency in the performance that they've exhibited in their last 10 games. The only thing he has to tell them that, you know what, this is just one of the games. This is just one of the league games. It is a derby game, but it is just 3 points available. You don't get 6 points from winning a derby. You get a 3 points, you get a bragging right. So just go out there. I'm sure he will show them the record that, you know what, it's been over 20 years since we beat Accra Hearts of Oak. Go out there and play. Just be motivated by that. And I'm sure that Oli will go into this game. I heard they've got a new bus from some older cracker boys who support the club. There will be huge motivation. I'm sure that
only that day.
I'm sure that there will be double winning bonuses
only,
and
only COVID-19. Only hydrogen peroxide.
Hey, so
what I have to say to Olympics, they should know that we are their parents. We are in the world before they came. We are their leaders.
Original landowners. Amaja market is all about.
If anyone is about Ghana, she put on the water.
They are the old guys, the old men of Ghana football. Yeah, we do agree. But we are the traditional owners of Accra.
They are saying that they are Agoswe. We never say that. You can go to the cemetery. You will find the bones who are rotting. You will see the bones are still alive.
Only Dade, only Piotto, only Rosalinda, only Bakadasala.
Be quiet and cheer us up. We are the famous House of Folk. We never say die. Phobia wamba. We're not Jibo.
6 p.m. kickoff time across Sports Stadium. Hearts of Folk versus Great Olympics. And, of course, that's not the only games to look forward to this weekend. There is also the Ashanti Derby, Ashanti Gold up against Kumasi Asante Kodoko. And the former Ghana international Emmanuel Ajiman-Bedu has been speaking about his former club. We'll listen to that pretty shortly. But that's also, a cracking game to look forward to. Ash Gold were torn apart by Legon City. Kodoko themselves probably played their best game of the season against Aduana Stars and still lost. Two teams going into this game on the back of defeat. What should we expect in this one?
It's equally going to be a very good game, a cracking game as well. These are bitter rivals, and Kumasi Asante Kotoko will know that, you know what, we need to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. If you look at the way the league table looks like, if you lose 2 games on the road, you could be finding yourself somewhere bottom of the league.
You'll be finding oil.
Yes, you could be finding yourself bottom where you don't want to. And especially when you look at the way the league is going, there are a lot of competitive teams. There is Bichim United, there is Karela, then you have your rivals Accra Hearts of Oak there, and Great Olympics are not doing bad themselves. So imagine this time if you are not just competing with, let's say, Hearts of Oak for a league title, but you have good teams up there you are competing with, you don't go losing on the trot. And I know Kotoko will go into this game knowing very well that they need to win. But then Ash Gold, what will do the trick for them is their supporters. This time around, they are getting supporters back into the Linkley Sports Stadium. And every time Kotoko goes there, it is a big game for the supporters. They don't normally watch Ash Gold games, I must say, in Obuasi, but when it is Kotoko and they are in town, they go out there to support their team, and I think that will be very, very crucial.
That's another cracking
game.
And
then another thing that might work for Kotoko is the absence of Apia Makati. Yeah. Your captain is out for 6 months. Ash Gold will really miss his services in this particular game. Not just a leader, but also his qualities will be missed in this particular game, and that could give Kotoko a slight advantage in this derby.
That's another cracking game to look forward to. But let's take a listen to Emmanuel Ajiman-Bedu on Kumasi Asante Kodoko.
It's too early to say they can win the league. a new management, new players. We are having interim coach now, which we are not sure of what will happen tomorrow. You see, we are lacking two things in Kotoko now, even in general football. When a team is not playing well and they are scoring, there's some confidence that, okay, well, the team is not playing well, but we are getting the goals and we are getting the point. It's one thing. When the team is not scoring and they are playing well, then you can have confidence that, oh, you need to work on the attacking midfielders, the strikers, and everybody, so that when the goals start coming, you get both. Now we are lacking both. The team is not playing well and we are not scoring. When was the last time you saw or see Kotoko winning 2-0? It was against only Liberty. For like a year, or I never see Kotoko winning 2-0, 1-0, 1-1. If the goals are not coming, we need to start playing well. But we are lacking both right now.
Emmanuel Ajimanbedu doesn't think that Kotoko can win the league this season. He thinks that there's still a bit of work to be done, and of course Kotoko take on Ashanti Gold at the Lenclay Stadium in that derby as well. So yesterday Bechim United, they won by 3-1 against 11 Wonders. 11 Wonders had their coach in the grips of the police in the images that we saw on social media. And Ken Faisal will also be playing against Brecum Chelsea. Ken Faisal's record in the Ghana Premier League this season, appalling. In Tardis, we'll play Legon Cities. Ediana Stars will play Dwarfs. That's a tricky game. Wafa versus Liberty promises to be exciting. Wafa, obviously, huge favorite at Sogakopel. Mina Sharks will play Dreams FC. And there's Karela versus Mediama. Those are the games for March day 11 of the Ghana Premier League. This one says, great show, Hans. Heart to win. Kotoko and Karela to lose and draw, so Hearts can go top, and Legon Cities also to win tomorrow. Tom Brown
to lose in the Unasi. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Thank you very much. But we activate the phone lines now. You can call us and let us know your thoughts, your views, your comments, your predictions for Heart of Folk Great Olympics. That's a game that everyone is talking about. Also, Ashanti Gold versus Kumasi Asante Kotoko. 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. Let's quickly hit the phone lines and get our first caller. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name, please.
Yeah, my name is Abu Mohammed, and I'm calling from Japan.
Right, let's hear you, Abu Mohammed.
Yeah, you see, there is always this incomplete statement people make concerning Accra Heart of Folk has not won the league for 10 years. Don't forget, the league has been truncated for 4 years. So anytime you make that statement, you should also add that before Anas expose, there was already a court injunction on the league. We were not playing football before COVID came. So don't always make that incomplete statement. And secondly, tell the tester who said they are the Wonder Club, they can show that wonders only to Kotoko, not Accra Heart of Folk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Next caller. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hans, good afternoon.
Your name, please.
This is Joseph Inko.
Mr. Inko, how are you doing?
By the grace of God, and you?
I'm good. Talk to me.
Thank you. Let me first of all wish my beloved team, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, all the best tomorrow. Back to the main point. Anything that has to do with the welfare of players and workers in general, I don't joke with it. If I tell you the number of players that Chipsa and his PFG have helped to retrieve their SNIT contributions from their clubs, you'll be marveled. A lot of them. And as we are all aware, SNIT also has a project that is ongoing to make sure that we register all players in the Premier League and later on descend to the First Division to make sure that we put them on the SNIT pension scheme for them to have a brighter future. And therefore, I would like to encourage you, Chief Secretary, to make sure he keeps it up. He should do the right thing. I would like to appeal to him that it shouldn't be only on the big clubs that maybe Kotoko can pay. So when it comes, we file the appeal. But when it has to do with the smaller teams, then we leave them. I can tell you that there are hundreds of players who are victims of those problems. But I don't know. They have started with Kotoko. Let's hope that they continue with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Inko Joseph. Next caller, hello.
Hans.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Your name, please.
Tank from Kaswa.
Right, let's hear you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to make this statement that, look, we have this tag that we give to ourselves that we are a football nation. But if you compare ourselves to the likes of Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, look, we are lagging behind. We are far behind. And we are just, kind of tickling ourselves and laughing. We still have a long way to go. Our football development, look at what the police did to Wonders coach. We don't need the police in our stadiums. We don't need them. Everything shows that we don't need them. May 9th, the Kotoko fan who was shot, we don't need the police there. They are too confrontational, too aggressive. We don't need them. Let me go to the House of Folk, the Manchester Derby. You can imagine Oli winning. And I'm imagining their Twitter trolls and all those things. Surely, I'm a strong House of Folk fan. So for that alone, I just want us to win. We have to win.
Right, we'll see how it goes. Okay. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Let's get back onto the lines. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name, please.
My name is Goku Listen, calling from Latvia question.
Let's hear you.
Yeah. I am a bit, last week we were discussing.
It does appear we lost him there. Kindly get back to us 0302216541 0302216541. A few of your messages also on our Facebook live feed. Esperanza Pedro Carlos says, watching live from Spain. Well, hello to you. He goes on to say, Ashgold 3, Kotoko 0. Wow. And he also predicts Heart of Folk 2, Great Olympics 0. Isaac Amedome says, House defenders no Gagai, Mouth, 2 known, defending against Olida, the Phobia Masters. Okay. Esperanza Pedro Carlos also says, Samed Ibrahim will score for Ashgold. Interesting predictions there coming through. Let's get back onto the phone lines. Hello. Okay. Felix, the predictions coming through, it's quite a number of them going for Great Olympics.
Well, you always get that. And I'm sure that people have also watched Great Olympics this season and they feel that they have, for the first time, they have a very strong team, a good team, individual players that can, punish Accra to folk on any day. So it's right if you are an Olympics fan or if you are just in between there, you don't know which team to support. You look at the two performances. I won't begrudge anybody to saying that Oli can win this game, but the history, the records, and everything, always goes to in favor of Accra to folk. So if
you are confident,
I'm confident. I'm very, very confident. Especially, if this game had been before Papich, I would have had problems. But I believe that if you look at the two coaches, if you look at the two tacticians, Papich has the experience. Papich knows the game better than I'll say Yao Preku does. And if you look at the individual players too available for the two teams, Hearts of Folk way ahead. But it is football. There could be an early goal. Anything can happen. There could be an early goal and then Olympics will defend to the end of it, which I don't want to happen. I want to see goals. I want to see the excitement. I want to see what makes that big game fun. I want to see the history that we've come to know, and it's also been that Hearts of Folk will continue the normal routine. Let Olympics know that there is a landlord and there is a landguard.
We'll see. we'll see how that one goes. But interesting message here from my good friend Raymond Yamado in respect of the player welfare conversation that we're having. He says he quotes an article from the FIFA regulations. He says that pursuant to Article 2 of FIFA regulations on the status and transfer of players, professional players are defined as all those who have a written contract with a football club and are paid a reasonable remuneration that cover all living costs and expenses. And it goes on to say, per this definition, we don't have professional players in Ghana. Interesting there. Let me say good afternoon going out to One great Olympics fan, Fifi Taki. And Fifi says to tell you, Felix, that you should slow down in the studio. 0302216541. 0302216541. But there are some really cracking games as well that will be going on across Europe. Let me quickly run by you the fixtures for some of them, but also huge in the Premier League this weekend is Arsenal up against Manchester United. Barca will play Atletico Bilbao. Real Madrid will play against Levante. RB Leipzig will play Bayer Leverkusen. Atlanta will play Lazio. Sampdoria versus Juventus. Chelsea up against Burnley. And I mentioned Arsenal versus Manchester United. We'll be bringing you live updates as we bring you the commentary for that Hearts of Folk Olympics Games at the Accra Sports Stadium. 6 p.m. kickoff time. Felix, I'm going to get your prediction now as we wrap it all up.
We'll go for a 3-1 Hearts of Folk win.
3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 Hearts of Folk.
I think you made that prediction already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We'll see. Thank you very much, Felix Romac. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening, and also sending us your texts, your WhatsApp messages, and also on our Facebook page. And for those of you able to call in, we've had a bit of a challenge with our lines, but thank you very much. When you do make your way to a match venue or anywhere in town, just ensure that you follow the safety protocols. Very, very important. The numbers keep rising in respect of COVID-19. Thank you very much. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. The news is up next, and stay with us here on Joy 99.7 FM.